Hit you were live. Good morning. It is May 8th. We are taking up page 105. We have Deputy Commissioner Rousseau from DMV here to talk about some provisions on page 13. And floor is yours.
Sure. Matt Russo, Deputy Commissioner for DMV. You want to kind of go over how I read this, or do you have any specific questions?
I think, over how you read it. If you have any concerns, thoughts, or perspective that you want to share, just yesterday you got the recommendation that we reach out to you, and just wanted to make sure we're covering our bases.
Great, appreciate it. So the way I'm reading it, we have your operating record, which is accessible to police officers, insurance companies, readily available. We have sealed records and we have expunged records, only open by court order sealed records. When I'm reading this, my only concern is that I just want to confirm that if these records are to be held separately, separately from the registry, which to me would mean a sealed record. I just want to confirm that an insurance company or a law enforcement officer would access those by court order, kind of like a sealed record. Or is this creating a whole new category?
The records of person who goes through this program,
Specific to this program.
right? How is it done now?
Right now it's a sealed record.
Yeah.
So if an officer were to need to do that, they would need to have a court order to open the sealed record. It's not on a driving record, it's held separate.
And so the question / concern that you have is, with the way that we're changing this, would they remain sealed record or go into some new category? I mean, I prefer my own individual opinion. I don't want to reinvent the wheel or create additional ones, because the current system is that they're sealed records that likely remain sealed records. And so, do you have I guess this would be a question for the council, but do you have any language requests just to make it perfectly clear for the DMV that they'll continue being sealed records?
I mean, the way I read it was that it would be maintained as a sealed record, because adding a separate category in the middle of our modernization project would just create an entire new category for us to create. And we're in the testing phase right now, so that was my concern. But I did read it as a sealed record.
Okay.
Yeah, because my reading of it, I see where you're coming from, but my reading of it, it could be interpreted as that shall be separate from the registry maintained,
Right.
which is sealed records that are separate from.
Correct. Or it says from the registry maintained by the department, which could also be your driving record, which is your as a registry.
So there's a little more clarity than the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're just adding this additional piece to what was already there, how would it change what was already there?
Don't think it would,
Okay.
and I think with the testimony we're getting, it sounds like they would remain sealed records, but we just want to make sure that it stays that way. Does that sound right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll leave it open for someone interpretation, I guess.
Yeah, I think. I mean, would the DMV have any concern that it could be misinterpreted? Because I know, when we express our intent on the record, it's not. Yeah, and then something turns into law. We can't just send you an email and say you're misinterpreting the statute. So
I think that for me, keeping it separate from the registry means keeping it separate from the driving record.
Yeah.
Which would be a sealed record. And so I don't think there is any issue with that.
okay, so no recommendations to change then. I think that's pretty straightforward.
And you could go as far as keeping it separate from the registry, for instance, sealed. Give a little more clarity, I guess.
Yeah.
Not read too much.
Yeah.
So,
Ben is opposite as well. Ben is on the same, okay. Ben, do you, or Ledge Council is on the same. Ben, do you have any, thoughts on this?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Ben Overgrowski from the Office of Legislative Counsel. This is a new concern that was raised by the Court Administrator's Office, really just to check that the Department of Motor Vehicles was, I think, okay with the language, and it sounds like they are, but if there is desire to express more clarity, and I'm sorry, I missed the exact point that was concerned because to Senator Viofsky's point, it is the language already exists that this is maintained sort of in a separate registry. And so can you just reiterate the concern that you're trying to address on that front?
I don't have a concern.
I think we're actually good. I think that we just wanted to get on the record or confirm with the DMV that that these records will remain separate. And they in that sealed category rather than creating a new category because we don't need or want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like that's how that's being interpreted by the DMV, and it sounds like that's what the committee's interpretation is too. So I think that we haven't, I just don't want to go too deep into the rabbit hole and then end up confusing ourselves. So I guess.
And on that front, I would just defer to the department on their interpretation and how they read it and need to either create an additional category or not.
Right. I think it's current practice, and it does say separate from the registry. So I think that would cover sealed records, in my opinion.
Great. So I think that's fairly straightforward. All right. Well, that was the easiest testimony that we've had in the last few weeks. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Ben, I need to ask a question when we go up live here, if you don't mind hanging on me for a second.
Sure.
Thanks.
And I can also go through, I did submit an updated draft 2.1 with the suggestions from Terry Corson yesterday with the new definitions. I do know that she and the Judicial Bureau are reviewing that new language currently, but I could go over it now, or if you want to wait until they've had a chance to review and any input.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 50 minutes until our next witness, so I think we're may as well hear your thoughts.
Sure. So just give me a moment. I can pull up to share my screen. So I will do that as we speak. I apologize if you hear any Daniel Tiger in the background or my daughter. So everyone can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So so the new additions in 2.1 just replaces subsection A and bumps down what was subsection A just down to B and so on and so forth. And so there are several definitions that have been added. Highway has the same meaning as in Title 23, Section 424. Section 4 of Title 23 is the definition statute. Law enforcement officer has the same meaning as 23 VSA Section 411A, which defines enforcement officers who are allowed to enforce certain motor vehicle violations. And this is what would be applicable to this section. Subdivision 3 defines license to operate a motor vehicle. 4 is motor vehicle or vehicle, which has the same meaning as motor vehicle as defined in Title 23. Operate or attempts to operate is cross-referenced. Operator has the same meaning. I also included junior operator in the definition since this involves those who could be 16 or 17 or 16 or 17. Privilege to operate has the same meaning, and then suspension or suspension of the person's typo of the person's operator's license has the same meaning as suspension of license as defined. So as you can see, I had to get a little creative with how the wording was in this bill, as compared to how they're used in Title 23, but I think we get to where we need to be. And so if there are any questions as far as, the meanings of these, or anything else, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions on these definitions?
So
So
something that actually just did come to mind, just to note for the committee, you'll see in subdivision E here, so operate or attempt to operate, which is now defined, but or be in actual physical control. That is not a statutorily defined term. It's one that, my understanding comes from the common law. So that's why it's not a cross-reference here, just so that the committee is aware.
Sounds good. Any questions? No questions in here, Ben.
Okay. I guess we'll wait to hear from, the court administrator's office then.
Think, and they were gonna follow up on what again?
Just to make sure that these cross references, mitigate their concerns that they raised yesterday.
Got it. Think it was there weren't any other changes that we made. Right.
No, that was, from my understanding, the only request. I mean, what happened as a result of this is, some internal cross references in the bill were changed just to accommodate the new subsection A, but outside of that, nothing substantive.
All right, so we'll wait to hear Terry, and we'll probably bring this up for a vote next. I think I put it on the calendar for next Tuesday,
Okay.
first thing, and yeah, should be all set. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And I think Senator Norris, if you have.
I do have a question for you, Ben.
Yeah, I can hang on.
All right, thanks. It's in reference to another field of options.